Hi, welcome back to the Performance Café. It is awesome to have you here on this Tuesday morning again, and I hope that the week so far has been kind to you. I today want to talk to you about values as a part of organizational culture. So there's the saying, revenge is a dish best served cold. And the whole point of that is that revenge works better when it's either unexpected or it's been expected for so long that it's almost got its own hype, its own fear, its own controversy already. And today I want to talk to you about values, because whatever we want to do with the revenge, we want to do the opposite with values. Myself and a colleague were lamenting the other day the fact that often when we get brought in to assist companies, especially where there's trouble, we get brought in to fix the other people. And sometimes management, leadership, whatever that is in that particular organization, sort of goes, just go and do it with the other people. We're fine. We're on board already. And the logic here is that a certain amount of financial investment is already there by people who own things like shares or who have, high-flying titles, that kind of thing. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, because values should be served warm. So first thing is, when we take a look at organizational culture, there should be very little in it that's unexpected, right? It needs to be properly defined. So what is the culture? What is how we do things here? What does it look like? So we can't just have words. We can't have customer service and expect that that's just going to make sense to everyone. Because what about the person who is sitting doing recons in finance? They actually might not even go near the external customer. So we have to define, what does customer mean to them? And in their case, maybe it means internal customer. And things around culture and values really shouldn't take long. So for example, if a company says, we're going to do a values project or an organizational culture redesign, it doesn't help to say that in January, and by November, you've still not done anything about it. Such an implementation, by its very nature, takes time, right? It takes time to change human behavior, and that is what we have to do when we are aligning to organizational culture. So the idea is to move rapidly to implement, but that while we wait for the settling and the actual transition from the status quo to whatever the culture is, that is given time to develop and to grow into something more solid. And that is because, I've mentioned it before, it takes us 21 days for our neural pathways to grow. So it takes us 21 days of doing something every single day before we've got a neural pathway to accommodate it, right? On top of that, we also need a certain energy, enthusiasm, and impetus to keep doing it. The other day on Performance Café, one of our coffee companions was Zanele and Japa, and Zanele said, it takes time. It takes time for people to feel like this is their next normal. It takes a while for people to absorb this and what it means for them and how it's going to work for them in the organization. And so I think it's really also important that we define the behaviors. So to come back to my point about, these values and these behaviors being served warm. When I say warm, one thinks comforting, right? A warm meal, a warm summer's day, right? Warm sunshine. Warm is something that pulls us closer, that pulls us in, that attracts us. And so basically the leadership team in any organization that's busy with any form of change, whether it's culture, whether it is values, whether it is even strategy or something entirely unrelated, they need to be warm. And by warm, I mean the following. Firstly, they have to be on board with the change. Because if they're not on board with the change, they're not going to represent it. They cannot be ambassadors, and that's what we need, is for them to walk up front and say, this is what we're going to do, and it will be good for us. Transition might be a little tough, but it will be good for us. They must also understand the technical detail of the transition. right? Because as ambassadors to change, they are the ones that are going to get the questions. You know, people might not sit up in the middle of a town hall meeting in a large corporate and say, excuse me, I've got a question, but they will go to their manager afterwards and say, I don't get this. And so it is up to each person in that leadership team to be able to explain, what are we changing? Why are we changing it? How are we changing it? What's beneficial? And also to have that level of understanding of how does it change things for the person in front of me, or at least for my team members. Right. And then in order to support the change, there must be ongoing feedback and communication about this. And that is another place where leadership can be warm about it. Therefore, we take leadership and put them at the front and center of this change. Yes, there are other change agents. There are other ambassadors. And yes, we do want to change things from the bottom up. But the bottom is only going to follow if they know that this is worthwhile. Think about it. How many times have you as a leader asked someone to do something and they've done it? And then after the fact, it's taken you a while to get back to them with feedback, or you forget that you asked them to do it. What happened? You were enthusiastic about it, they followed you. You then lost enthusiasm or focus. What happens? Now they start second guessing you as to, oh, is this that important? Or the next time you ask something, is it going to be important? Just go away again. You see how you're losing their interest, their energy, their enthusiasm. Well, if you do this often enough, then they disconnect and go, well, we're just going to wait for the change to flush through the system because no one cares in any way. And so I'd like to ask you to make sure that your organizational culture and your values are served warm, and that you are the change that you want to see in the organization, if I may steal that saying, so that organizational change can happen, so that culture can grow and be improved, and so that values can be established in a way that makes sense to people and takes the business to where you want it to be. I hope you've enjoyed today's insert. I look forward to speaking to you again. Until I meet you again Friday for our coffee companion, who is Paul Renard from Nutanix. Very excited about that. If you like these, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and like. And if you like these and you are watching from our LinkedIn or Facebook channels, please go and like, share, and comment. We really would love to hear from you. Until next time, I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you at the Performance Café.